If you're dealing with a narcissist, I want you to know that there are 3 keys that you can use to shut them down and to restore your sense of self-esteem and well-being. I can only tell you the truth. A narcissist will make your life a misery. Narcissists are never wrong. They are always right. In order to be right, they have to make you wrong. You see, when you're right, someone else is usually wrong. And that's okay occasionally. But if you live with a narcissist, they will always make you wrong. They must be right always, and that means you must be always wrong. I'm one of the few people I don't treat are narcissists. I worked with a few, and they'll tell me, you're wrong. That was wrong. You had no right to make my child better. That was my job. And so it can be difficult. So here's my first piece of advice when you are dealing with a narcissist, having a relationship with a narcissist. Leave, get out, don't even waste your time trying to make it better. You can't make it better. If you are married to a narcissist or dating one, you have no children, you might as well leave. If you stay, you are simply delaying the inevitable. People write to me and say, hey, I listened to you, and I've left my narcissistic partner after 30 years. I wish I'd done it 29 years ago. I stayed believing they would get better, that I could make them better, and I felt such a failure. So if you don't have children and your partner is a narcissist, plan to get out, because it will not and does not get better. If the narcissist are your parents and you're a grown-up, you can still leave. You can leave emotionally. Yes, you can speak to them on the phone and write to them, but try not to have too much physical contact. If you have to do that, limit it. Limit how often you see them, how much time you spend, and be prepared to not let in criticism. If you have children, it's of course very different, and if you are a child of a narcissistic parent, it's almost impossible. So if you are married to a narcissist with young children, you should still plan to leave, but you need to really be able to support your children when they spend time with a narcissistic parent. If you don't have young children, leave as early as you can. Don't go back. You must leave. You must put distance between yourself and a narcissist. Secondly, you may not be able to leave yet, but you can still leave emotionally by understanding it is not your fault. Narcissists will always make it your fault. You did that wrong. You made me feel that wasn't right. That was your fault. And you need to get a sense of yourself. You can't really argue with a narcissist. They say things like always. One of my narcissistic clients said to me with a straight face, I'm always right. I'm never ever wrong. I am always right. I didn't even bother to argue with them. What's the point? But you have to learn it's not your fault. They will blame you, but you can choose to not let that in. You can go, no, I'm not letting that in. You believe that. I happen to not believe it. I'm sorry you think like that. I happen to not believe that is true. But it's really easier just to make a mental note. This is going right over my head. I'm not letting that in. I won't let that in. I have armor plating. They can only hurt me if I agree with everything they're saying, and I don't agree with anything they're saying. I'm not letting it in. So don't allow a narcissist to convince you that you are in the wrong. Don't allow them to distort your thinking. Don't allow them to make you a victim, even if you have to stay there for a while because of the children or your financial situation. You can emotionally be absent by not letting in destructive criticism. People who are critical always have the most criticism reserved for themselves. Narcissists will never admit that, but you and I know it's the truth. And when you extract yourself from a narcissist, don't let that define you. I wasted so many years with a bully, a narcissist, a person who diminished me, chipped away at my confidence until I had so little self-worth. And now I'm on my own. It's like, oh, what a relief. I'm never going back there again. You can learn to spot a narcissist. They are, of course, very charming in the beginning, but it never lasts long. The control, the criticism, the chipping away at you, the blaming you for everything, the always making you wrong. They find it very hard to suppress that. So of course you can go out and date again, and you should. Just be aware that someone that is super charming and all over you and then starts to criticize you, you know what that is, and you have to decide, I've been there once, I don't ever, ever, ever have to go back again. So please don't let the fact that you wasted time with a narcissist block you from having a better relationship. You can have a narcissistic parent, but a wonderful relationship with aunties or cousins. You could have an ex who's a narcissist and you can find a wonderful new partner. If you have a boss who's a narcissist, it's probably better to plan to leave as soon as you can. But when you have a narcissistic boss, remember, this is not about you. It's not personal. They're like that with everyone. It's not permanent because you're going to leave. And it's not even all pervasive, because when you're at home having a bubble bath, a lovely dinner, great sex with your partner, your narcissistic boss is not getting to you. For someone to get you, it has to be PPP, permanent. All pervasive, that means it goes on all the time, and personal, meaning of course it's just about you. Narcissists treat everybody badly, and the only time they get better is when they lose their looks. When they lose their looks, they occasionally, as they get older, will mellow, but not all the time. So I do understand that narcissists can dent, can damage, can chip away and start to diminish your self-esteem. But you can get it back. Self-esteem means what you think of you. Narcissists are always unhappy. Imagine a world where all that matters is what people think about you. And you have to work every day to make them think you're the best. You have to diminish, annihilate, hurt, embarrass, shame other people because you're run by one thing: I need everyone to think I'm great. You and I know better. You and I know that we need to think we're great. We can't make everyone else think that. So you can rebuild your self-esteem even if you spent years with a narcissist. And please click the link below to download my free workbook that will help you extract yourself from a narcissist's clutches, never go back, and get over feeling it was your fault. It was never, ever, ever your fault. So many people stay in a relationship that's abusive because they feel like it's better the devil you know. So I'm going to tell you how to leave an abusive relationship. And here's the first thing you have to understand: abuse is not love. People say, yeah, but you know, my boyfriend loves me so much and he's so jealous, and of course he acts out, and no one feels worse about it than him. If someone puts their hands on you, it's not love. If they diminish you, gaslight you, abuse you and put you down, that is not love. Here's the biggest problem, and it's something that therapists find incredibly vexing until you understand what's really going on. Our caveman minds are hardwired to recreate what we know, to keep going back to what's familiar. We like what we know. Anyone with a 2-year-old child will say, oh gosh, at 2 they want to eat the same food every day. They want the same story every night, the same movie, the same bowl, the same cup. When a child is 2, exactly the age where they could have wandered out into the prairie and picked their own poisonous food from bushes, they only want what they already know. And wanting what we already know actually makes us really safe. So when your kid says, I don't want that yogurt, it's not pink, I don't want that, it's got lumps in it, and you want that one brand of cereal, what they're saying is, I don't know this other stuff, and I'm safe with what I know. And that makes sense to all parents. But your mind feels it's safe with what you know. So here's a scenario. A woman or a guy is in a bar and they meet someone who's abusive and diminishing. They go, do you know, I just feel like I've known this person all my life. We just click. Somehow we just clicked. Do you know why? That is your dad or your mum. And we are wired to recreate what we know and then to change the ending. So many women, and men too, will say, I like bad boys. guys. I like mean girls. I like people who are difficult. What they're really saying is, if I pick someone who's difficult and I make them love me and adore me, if I turn a bad guy into a pussycat, a cold woman into somebody warm and wonderful, I've recreated my whole childhood, found an abusive daddy or mummy and made them love me. I put a happy ending on it, and that we are wired to do that. However, life is far too short to keep trying to change the ending when in fact, you can change the beginning. If you are in a relationship that's abusive, the person spends all your money, doesn't call, cheats on you, lets you down and diminishes you, tells you you'll never find anyone else and you're not that hot anyway. And I actually had a supermodel who said that every boyfriend she had to go, well, you know, you look good, but you're not very bright. They were so intimidated by her beauty that they all diminished her. And she took it because she thought, well, it's my fault. I make guys feel bad about themselves and I just have to accept it. No, you don't. So the first thing when someone is mean to you is take some deep breaths and sit back and ask yourself, what does this remind me of? Who does this remind me of? This isn't just a woman's problem. One of my male clients said to me, you know, I always go out with women that make me feel stupid. I seem to like deeply intellectual women who put me down. Then he told me that when he was a little kid, he said to his mum, Mummy, look at my drawing. And she said, darling, you might be 6. Please remember I'm not. I find you terribly boring. And I'm so intelligent. I really shouldn't have been a mother. I just haven't got the patience to deal with you because you're boring. And guess what? He found women who were smarter than him. And he always wanted them to go, wow, you're so bright, you're so clever. And I said, look, you got to listen to what I'm going to tell you. Here's your lesson. Every time you meet a woman, I want you to ask yourself one question. How do I feel about myself in this woman's company? If the answer is stupid, leave. There are hundreds of women. And to his credit, he asked himself one question. How do I feel about myself with this woman? And if the answer was stupid, he would leave. He said by the 3rd woman, he thought, wow, I feel intelligent. This one's the keeper. He married her. I went to the wedding. It was a beautiful thing. And he said, I wouldn't have married her if you hadn't given me that heads up, the one question. So here's a question for you. How do you feel about yourself in the company of the person you're dating? If it's, I just don't feel attractive enough, I don't feel good enough, I don't feel worthy enough, I feel second best, leave, because you're playing the only part you've ever known, and now you're making that part your own. We play the only part we've ever known until we make that part our very own. I feel unattractive. I feel unworthy. I feel uninteresting. I feel I've got to work so hard to make someone like me, because I worked so hard to make my mum like me, my dad. I cleaned the house. I looked after the other kids. I was good. I was an achiever. You see, what you're saying is I learned at a very early age to work for love, to earn love, to pursue love, to run after love. And it's just familiar and I'm still doing it. Well, you know what? It might be familiar. And it is a fact that we go for what is sort of it. Here's another fact, a much better fact. You can make anything you like unfamiliar. So first you ask yourself the question, how do I feel in this person's company? And then second, you say, you know what? I am going to make this unfamiliar. I'm going to make someone adoring me familiar. I worked with a girl on a show where she was made over. She had a makeup artist, a hairdresser, a wardrobe assistant, a personal trainer, all there to make her feel beautiful. And she'd go off and she'd still pick up the same guys that treat her badly. And one day I said, you know, you are dating daddy. You're not supposed to spend the night on the sofa kissing and making out with daddy. You're not supposed to get into bed with daddy. You're dating your dad. So I want you to go out with a whole different energy. We did some work on her. And back to him, I said, well, it was just amazing. I don't know what you did to me, Marisa, but I went to the same place I always go. And this really nice guy hit on me. He picked me up in the house, took me out for dinner, paid the bill, sent me a text, make sure I got home safely. He's already asked me out again, and I'm not going. I said, why not? She went, well, he was too good for me. I said, why don't you say that again? But what you're really saying is his behavior was so unfamiliar, nice, kind, complimentary, pursuing me. I didn't recognize it, and I wanted to run back to what I know, only because it's familiar. And why don't you say, I will make this familiar. I will make a nice familiar. Don't ever add if it kills me, if it's the last thing I do. That's not good programming. I will make being loved, being cherished familiar. So she decided to say that. I'm just not used to niceness, but I'll make it familiar. I'm not used to being treated with respect. I'll make it familiar. I'm not used to someone treating me as if I have any kind of value, but I'll make it familiar. And of course she married him. They're still together. And now she said, it's so bizarre. I can only remember being loved, adored, cherished. My husband makes me know I'm the most important thing in his world. And I would never go back to those other guys who, by the way, when I got engaged, called me and went, hey, what about me? Why haven't you married me? She went, well, apart from that, you never asked me. You didn't even ask me out. Why would I marry you? But here is your lesson. Your mind likes what is familiar. That's a fact. You can make anything good familiar and anything bad unfamiliar. That is another fact. Make good stuff familiar. Remind yourself you are not supposed to go home and climb into bed with mummy or daddy. You're supposed to find someone like you. Your parents may be mean, withholding, and critical. That was about them. It has nothing to do with who you are. You are lovable just the way you are. And to find love, it doesn't require anything to be cut out, injected in, snipped off. Nothing is required. No waxing, no electrolysis, no hours in the salon, no designer labels are needed to make you feel worthy of love. There is one thing you need, and it is this. You need to go, I am worthy of love. I'm deserving of love just the way I am. Of course, I'll make the best of myself, but just the way I am, I'm lovable and worthy of love, because you know what? You were born with that belief. No baby says, oh, my dad's not here. I'm not as lovable as other kids. My mum is depressed, so I'm not lovable. All babies believe they're lovable. They demand attention. You know why? Because their mind says you are worth it. So do all of those things and then finally recognize abuse is not love. Someone hitting you, putting their hands on you, spending your money, cheating on you, diminishing you, that's not love. Someone who is inadequate, it's a bit like a seesaw. Here we go. Here's you and here's the unworthy person you may be dating. You see, in their mind it's not equal. In their mind you're up there and they're down there. And they only have two choices. I feel inadequate in this girl or guy's company, so I'm going to diminish them. And if I diminish them, they're going, well, you're fat, you're not that much, you're not smart, you got 2 kids, who would ever want you? What I'm doing is that, not even that. I'm going to keep going till I feel superior and they feel inferior. Or they will embellish themselves. Well, I've got a degree. No one in my family is divorced. I earn more than you. I'm smarter than you. So someone who feels inadequate wants you to feel inadequate too, and they will embellish themselves and diminish you to make that happen. But you know what? That can only happen if you let it, and you never, ever, ever have to let it. So tell yourself every day, I am lovable just the way I am. I'm worthy of love. I'm deserving of love. And it simply is not true that you have a twin flame and there's no one else. There are so many people that you can love that can love you. But you know what else? The longest relationship you'll have in your entire life is with yourself. Your parents have died before you do. You're on the planet for 30 years before your kids came along. You will have the longest relationship with you. And if you think to yourself, well, what would the best boyfriend in the world say to you? What would the best girlfriend in the world say? The best husband, the best wife, the best partner, what would they say? What would you like them to say? Let's think about that now, because it's always the same. I love you. You're so great. How lucky am I to be with you? You are the best person in the world. You are the one and only. You're my one. And if you need to hear that, want to hear it, here's something to do. say it to yourself. Imagine you're saying it now. Hey, you're amazing. I love you. All those love songs. You're the best thing that ever happened to me in my world. I just called to say I love you. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Something about you. So imagine your perfect person, what they would say. I love you. I adore you. You're the one. You're the only one for me. I love everything about you. How lucky I am to have you. And if you start to say that to yourself, your mind doesn't go, yeah, where's that coming from? Your mind just goes, oh, this is what I wanted to hear all my life. You're amazing. You're fantastic. There's a great song I love that goes, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with a wonderful girl. You can say, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with a wonderful guy. You're singing it about yourself. You know what, as you do that, words heal. Words go in, they sink in. And as they sink in, they start to grow your self-esteem. You could get some guy to go, hey, I love you, you're amazing. But there's a chance that a year later go, well, I don't love you anymore. I'm bored now. I found someone younger, taller, thinner, richer. And if you give someone, hey, could you make me feel good? Maybe they can, but you give them all your power to take it away and make you needy. When you say, hey, there you are, you gorgeous creature. I love you. You're kind, you're warm, you're amazing. You've got a big heart. You're a lovable person. When you say it, it goes in. The most important words you will ever hear are the words you say to yourself. And I meet so many kids trying to make some idiot boy, some uninterested girl love them, and they try and buy their love, earn their love, work for their love. And it never works. But when I get them, look, you become the partner you want. Fall in love with you. It's not for long. Because when you go out of the world going, hey world, I'm lovable, the world goes, I know. And let me send you all these people to love you. And you go, hey world, I'm not lovable. My dad left when I was 2. I'm always going to get rejected. He goes, I know. Let me send someone to prove that. Because we make our beliefs. And then our beliefs make us, and then the world starts to honor and mirror and match whatever you believe. When women say, if any man put his hands on me, I'll be off. No man would ever touch me. I'd be gone. They don't get hit. Another people go, well, you know, I've always been hit. My dad hit me. My mum hit me. My brother hit me. And every guy I've met, they all hit me. That's never okay. And I'm never going to say you've made that happen. But if you have that belief, then you're more likely to find that belief becomes real, because we go out into the world with beliefs and we make them real. You had a fleeting thought when you were 2, I'm not lovable. It became a fixed belief. Then it became a limiting belief, and then it became a self-fulfilling prophecy that your beliefs are yours to change. The love you want in your life is yours to influence. Some of the most beautiful people in the world, Marilyn Monroe, Princess Diana, Michael Hutchins, George Michael, Michael Jackson, all had this belief, I'm not really lovable. If you knew me, you'd be disappointed. We were never disappointed. We loved them, but they didn't love them. And there is your lesson. If you don't think you're worth it, the world can't make you believe it. And when you believe you're worth it, the world will join in. So whatever you want to hear, need to hear, long to hear, would be healed by hearing. Say it to yourself. It doesn't matter if you feel silly. We all talk to ourselves every day. Say, I'm lovable. I matter. And you know, I had to do that. I was a middle kid. My dad was a principal. I thought it was the most hideous, ugly freak. I never thought I would find love. And then I realized one day that I had to do it to myself. I had to believe I was worth it to attract someone who also believed I was worth it. I had to know I was worth it for him to know I was worth it. And if you've got to fake it until you make it. The mind learns by repetition. Words sink in like lotion on dry skin. If you put lip salve on dry lips, they get nourished. And if you put words on a dry soul, it also gets nourished. So please remember, Be the love affair you want. Say the words you need to hear. Tell yourself you're lovable. And when you do that, you give the whole world permission and consent to recognize it and to join you. And when you elevate your sense of who you are and what you're worth, you'll attract someone who also will elevate their sense of who you are and what you're worth. Don't think your other half is going to make you feel good, because you're not a half. You can't find your other half unless you think you're half. You're whole. Now you know you're whole and you know you're worth it. You'll find people who believe it, show you it, and share it. And you know what? You already know it to be true. It becomes easy. Make it easy on yourself, like that song said. Fall in love with you, praise you, and know that to find love, you don't have to change your weight, your shape, your size, your body, your wardrobe, or your job description. You have to change one thing: the belief that you are worthy. When you know you are worthy of love, you won't tolerate an abusive relationship. You know what's even better? You won't even attract one. People who abuse other people look for people who are weak, who feel inadequate. A man who would put his hands on a woman who would belittle a man, or someone of the same sex, because this happens in same-sex relationships, already has a belief: I'm not really good enough. If I find someone who feels even less adequate than me, I can minimize them and elevate me. That's not your world ever again. Know you're worthy of love. You'll find love, and love will find you, because what you want wants you, and what you are moving towards is moving towards you. And the quicker you know you're worth it, the quicker you'll find it and maintain it forever. We're all flawed people, having flawed relationships. You can have a beautiful flawed relationship, not a damaging one. If someone hurts you, they don't love you. Hurt people hurt people. Damaged people tend to damage people. And you can start from being hurt and damaged. I certainly did that. When you fix yourself and heal yourself, you'll attract fixed, healed people who respect you. And respect is way more enduring than that passionate love. It doesn't really last. Check out my next video here. Marilyn Monroe was such an example of someone who looked out there. She believed, if I become rich and famous and beautiful, then surely I'll feel lovable. And I've seen many, many clients who say, but no one loves me. I can't find love.